Hi, this is Gary D. Toniquote from morethanasnapshot.com. Welcome to the critique session for the week of 8/28/2014. Here we have some great images. The first one is a night scene of stars and mountains in the background. Overall, I like the composition. It is an interesting subject. However, I feel that the exposure is a little too dark. I think that the sky looks okay at this brightness, but when you look down at the lower half of the image, it looks too underexposed. And so you can see here there's a lot of room in our histogram. Um, so you can see what would happen if we pump it up. We don't want to pump it up too far to make it look too much like daylight, but maybe we'll come up around here. So the problem was we can't just do it in Lightroom in this case when shooting night photos. You can see when we bump up the exposure that much, especially on a JPEG, you can see all the noise and artifacting and stuff that we get. But not bad. Um, you can see that your exposure was long enough to start to get a little bit of blurring on the star. I don't have any metadata here, so I can't tell how long your exposure was, but it's not bad. It's still giving us nice little points of light for our stars. The sharpness and everything looks fine. Um, Usually a shot like this would probably be around 30 seconds. I'm not sure how long yours was, but not bad. Here we have a spider web here, and it looks like a nice shot. Really, the key to this shot is the really crisp, sharp nature of the web and the fact that it's being backlit. That really makes it stand out. So you did a great job. It's a very nice image. Um, in some ways, I would like to have less of this, but I don't think there's any way to crop it out because the web comes up here at a diagonal. But it's fine because we have a diagonal line here. We have a center of interest in the third of the frame, and here we have just a little bit of negative space. Just for the heck of it, if we tried to cut down on some of that, we could try that. And that's not bad either. Um, so it's up to you what you think is better. I think I like a little bit of a tighter crop myself, but that's up to you. Oh, this is a really beautiful scene. Love the color in the clouds here. It really catches your eye, and that happens to be in the third of the frame. The exposure looks really good. Maybe it could come up just a touch. Um, let's see. It's nice and sharp. I'm not seeing an overabundance of noise or any problems like that. The trees are also nice and sharp and clear. It's wonderful light. That's really what is helping this image, that wonderful light in the sky, especially the way it's lighting up these clouds. And we see detail here in the trees. And I also think it's really cool how we have the tall tree here. It comes down, showing us the view, and then comes back up here. It's kind of like a line or a frame that helps keep our eye in the center of the picture. I like the sort of the panoramic effect that it has. It's a great shot. Here we have a nice family picture, and this one maybe could come down just a touch, and I think what it needs is maybe a little black, little contrast. So maybe I'll bring those highlights back where they were. And so that's looking okay. Um, the one thing that I would suggest is before you go and set the people up to really check out your background and what they're going to be standing on. It is a very nice background, but you have a merger with the guy and this building. This red roof really contrasts with him, and then even she kind of has a merger here with that. As far as the shot of the people goes, that looks fine. But if when you planned it, if you had found a spot maybe a little further down the bank where the people would have been in these trees or in these trees, um, maybe it would be less of a problem. Um, so, not bad. Just remember to keep an eye on your background. Let's just double check. Yep, everybody from front to back is looking good. Um, so, good job. Here we have a space shot, and Marco was kind enough to place a link if you want to see how to make this kind of an image. It's a Photoshop trick, so good job, Marco. Here we have a selfie, a self-portrait, one of our first assignments. The one problem is you got to submit an image that's a little bit bigger than this. It's too small for us to really tell anything. Even if it's so small I can't even zoom in on it. So a good guideline is you want the largest side to at least be 1024. So 1024 by 768 at least gives us a reasonable sized image to look at. But from what I can see, it looks like you did some lighting with the strobe or flashes, and so the exposure looks pretty good. No problems there, and technically I'm not seeing any problems. And like you said, the shirt does kind of blend in with the background, but it's all right. I think you are a little bit lucky that there are some light tones back here that separate you a little bit from your shirt from these light tones over here. If it had been more this shirt, I think on this color, you would have probably blended in even more. But welcome to the class, and remember, next time send us some larger sized images. Here we have a nice camel shot. I saw some of the other zoo shots, and I do think that this is the pick of the litter. This is a really cool shot. I love how the neck, you just see the neck, and then the big face right here in the third of the frame, and it's really cool. It's a nice tight shot. If we zoom in, this one I guess is too small too to really zoom in, so that's as close as we're going to get. But you can tell that this is in focus. There's a lot of quality here. It was well done, and I like how you're sort of right at eye level with the camel and not shooting down at it. So I think that really helps the image, and so that's really nice. Here we have another camel image, and this one is great too for its own reason, and I think it's because it looks like you captured a great expression. It almost looks like it's talking or smiling or something like that. So a cool, really cool zoo shot. It would be even better if we didn't see all this stuff in the background, but hey, it's a zoo. What are you going to do? There are times when you can isolate the subject, like you did in the previous shot, really well. But then again, there are times like this when you just have to take what you're given, and it's still a great shot. It's a great memory of that day. And the only reason I comment about the stuff on the background is if you wanted to enter a nature competition, they wouldn't take images that have man-made stuff in it. Here we have, I don't know if that's another camel or what that is really, but it's interesting because it's the back of its head. So I'm not really loving this one very much. It does show us sort of the cool texture of the fur. It looks really soft and nice. If that's the point of the shot, then yeah, then it worked. But other than that, I'm not really getting the back of the head. Here we have a bald eagle, and again, nice shot. You caught some action here. You have a nice blurred out background, no distractions. The exposure looks great on the eagle's face. There are some overexposed feathers here. You can see here that's where it's overexposed. If you shot this as a raw file, we can bring those back with the highlight slider. Even here, I can take them down a little bit, but even though I've taken it down, there's no more detail here. You're not going to get this detail back from a JPEG image, and maybe not even from a raw image. So when you shoot anything that's white, you got to remember to be really careful with the exposure, really paying attention to the highlights. The one thing you don't want to do is to overexpose them. I guess the one good and lucky thing about this is most of the face is sort of in the shadow. So the important part of the image is all of the face feathers here. We see great detail in all of those because they're not in quite such a bright section. So we're good all the way up to here. It's just this outer edge that really got a bit overexposed. Pretty good. Just keep an eye on that for next time. Here we have, I don't know, red panda, I think. And it looks like the exposure and the sharpness are fine. And it's just, you know, it's kind of just not in impact wise. I don't think it has it there, but you know, a good record shot of the nice close up of that animal. All right, here we had some before and after Photoshop work. So here was the before image, I believe, and we'll see what they did to it. Here are the changes, and I do think that it is an improvement. I think maybe I agree with you that it did need the contrast, but I think maybe you went a little far with the contrast. So let's see. I don't know what I can do with it here. I'm going to move the blacks over. And yeah, that's probably all about I would do. So you can see the difference between how far over I went and how far over you went. You went too far. You can see your peak is coming way up here. Even if I went a little farther, yeah, yeah, I just went a little further, and I still wouldn't go as far as you did. So I think that's a little bit of a problem. Let's see, it looks like you may have sharpened it a little. And the other thing is, I think it needed a little straightening. The water line looks a little bit tilted downward, although the boats do. This is where it can be tricky. Sometimes that happens to you. You know, the horizon line really is straight because the boat is looking pretty straight, but yet it looks like the horizon line is tipping down. So that's a tough call. Sometimes you just leave it that way if there are objects in the image that really do look like they're straight. Like this tree looks like it's pretty straight. If I were to tilt it just a little bit, I think that looks a little bit better, and I do think that this boat does look straighter. So I would throw in that crop. And your image, you didn't crop it. So other than the contrast adjustment, looks like maybe you added a little bit of saturation here. It looks like the sail is a bit more saturated, and that's fine. Again, as long as you don't go too far with it. And so good job. Keep trying, keep practicing. Here we have another Photoshop before and after. I think the image looks pretty good just in this shot. Let's see what you did. So I made a major crop, made it more of a vertical image instead of a horizontal, bringing us much closer to the frog. I like how it really does focus our attention on the eye much more, and the colors are enhanced a little bit of contrast, and so overall I think I do like the difference. I don't think that this image is bad either. So I think you could get sort of two images out of this. Either composition, horizontal or vertical, um, looks nice, I think. And I think that that is the last of the images. Great job this week, guys. Keep it going. Bring in some more images for next week. And we'll see you next time on morethanasnapshot.com.